So who are the best players to bring in ahead of FPL Gameweek 7? I've got my top 3 here, and I think these are all really good transfers in. And if you look into wildcard, because I know quite a few people are looking to wildcard in Gameweek 7 as well, then if you look into wildcard, these are some very good players, in my opinion, to look at in your wildcard team, as well as also, as I say, transfers in. If you are a fan of FPL content, then do hit subscribe on this channel. It would be very much appreciated. It takes 1 second. And do leave a like down below and let me know who you think I've missed in the comment section down below. So we're going through it in no particular order, and starting off as our first player. I mean, I can't not mention him, to be honest. I mean, if I didn't, I'd probably get comments saying, why have you not mentioned him? So it's Cole Palmer, and I mean, he's already the most transferred in player. It says 600,000 transfers in. It's not quite that many, but I think it will get to that by the end of the week. He's already on about 140,000 transfers in or something at the time of recording this video, something absolutely crazy. I don't blame people at all for bringing him in. It's just, I mean, if I was on a wildcard, I probably would just put him in my team. He's a difficult one to get to for me personally, because I already have Saka, and Saka's got good fixtures. And, you know, obviously after 4 goals in a game, you're gonna get a lot of transfers in naturally. But the fixtures aren't the greatest for Chelsea coming up. Forest up next is decent, but then after that Liverpool away, you wouldn't say that's a good fixture at all. Newcastle and Man United are okay fixtures. They're decent enough. You definitely back him to at least get a return in one of them 2 games. And then Arsenal again is tough. So I think after this Forest game, the fixtures aren't too great for a return, but it's Cole Palmer. He's on penalties, and he's such a good player. You can't just not take note of that. So I do really like him as an option. On a wildcard, maybe I would be bringing him in. Disappointed, I wildcarded last week and I didn't even think about him, to be honest. I mean, I just thought Saka was the better pick just based on the fixtures. Obviously, that didn't prove to be the case, and it just proves that going without Cole Palmer is very, very risky. And he's getting higher ownership now. He's getting a lot of people bringing him in, up to 40% now. And as I say, I very much understand it. He's got very good numbers as well. Obviously, his numbers got massively boosted in terms of the XGI because he put in a great performance against Brighton. Now 0.88 it was up to. It's up to now. Last week it was on about 0.6, so it's increased a lot. And as I say, if you score 4 goals and play as well as you do, of course your numbers are going to increase because it's not a massive sample size so far this season. But 0.6 XG, 0.28 XGI, expected assists, and then XGI is 0.88. So overall, very good numbers as well. And 6 goals, 4 assists in the opening 10 games. He is obviously massively outperforming what his XGI is. But it's Cole Palmer, he did that last season, and we just know he's a great pick. Now on to our second pick. It's in no particular order, as I say. It is Dwight McNeil. Now, he's had 25,000 transfers in at the time of recording this video so far. He's gone up to 5.5 million the other day. You had a few people bringing him in as well on the wild card, and fair play to people that did bring him in because the fixtures coming up are great, and he has got quite a few returns now. After that game in the last match for Everton against Crystal Palace, where he was excellent, he managed to come away with 2 contributions. And, looking very, very decent. I mean, his XG isn't the best, 0.09. That's something to definitely take note of. Expected assist is very good, though, at 0.5. And picking up 3 goals, so he's massively outperforming his XG with the 2 goals against Crystal Palace. Then, as I say, massively outperforming it. But with the fixtures coming up for Everton, he's definitely one to consider. And at that price point, obviously, you're not going to expect the world at 5.5 million. You know, there's players around his price bracket that at the moment he's outperforming in terms of overall points and goals and assists. So can he keep that going? And as I say, with the fixtures, would you really back against him? And I think Everton, they're starting to turn a corner. So far this season, going forward, they actually haven't been that bad at all. Defensively has been Everton's main problem. As I say, Newcastle up next. They're not the greatest defensively, Newcastle. And then you've got Ipswich, another good fixture. Fulham, decent fixture. Southampton, really good fixture. And West Ham as well, haven't been the best defensively. So if you're looking at that from an attacking point of view for Everton, I think that's a great run of fixtures. A lot of people would obviously just choose Calvert-Lewin and might already have Calvert-Lewin, but as a big differential, only 3% ownership, I think Dwight McNeil could be a great choice. Obviously, the other players around that price bracket, I'll say maybe the obvious one being like a Morgan Rogers, who's 5.2 million, a little bit cheaper. There's Smith Rowe at about 5.8, who you might already have in your team and have value in, as well as that Semenyo, who's obviously talked about a lot. There's a lot of players in that kind of price bracket, but there's no better player with better fixtures than Dwight McNeil in the short term and longer term as well. Really good there. So for me, he's definitely one to consider, and I do understand that people bringing him in, especially on a wild card as well. I'd really like Dwight McNeil as a pick. Now, as our final player, we've gone for Rico Lewis. It might be a little bit of a surprise because he didn't return last week, and he hasn't returned in the last few weeks. But the fixtures coming up for Man City are incredible. Defensively, offensively, for both ways for Man City is really good. Obviously, with Rico Lewis, we know that he could be a minute's risk completely, and that's absolutely understandable if you don't want to go for him. But if I was looking at my team for transfer or a wild card or whatever, if you're looking for defensive option, I do like Rico Lewis. As I say, approach with caution. He's an absolute risk. He's had 11,000 transfers in so far, up to 4.7 million, been very popular. And if you just look at his numbers as well, XG of 0.14, expected assists of 0.05, XGI of 0.19 over the course of the season. That is very, very impressive for a defender. Them kind of numbers. It's up there with, the top tier of defenders. And he's only 4.7 million, as I say. The fixtures coming up for City. If he can start, it would be an absolute stretch to say that he can start 5 out of them 5 games, because I don't think that'll be the case. But if you can hope for maybe 4, then I like him. But as a transfer, he is a little bit risky. On a wild card, I'd be more tempted to go for him, as you'll have other options. If you're bringing in Rico Lewis as you have to start him every week, he's probably not the one. It's one of them where you've got to kind of predict his minutes, and you've got to kind of look at what's happening in the cup competitions, in the Champions League and the Carabao Cup. And, then you can kind of work it out from there and kind of play a guessing game, which obviously, as I say, approach with caution. It is risky. But for me, it's a cheap way into the Man City defence. And if he keeps his starting place, he provides fantastic value. As I say, the next 5 fixtures: Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, Wolves... put Wolves away in twice there. They're not meant to be that, but then it's Brighton. So it's a good run of fixtures overall there for Man City. That Wolves away fixture is actually meant to be Bournemouth away, which is still a great game. That was a mistake in my editing. But, as I say, fantastic fixtures for Rico Lewis. Them next 5, you'd say, you're at least back in, hopefully, you'd say you can maybe get potentially at least 2 clean sheets. That's being maybe harsh. Maybe against Southampton, a clean sheet. Then there's Wolves, a potential, and Fulham. You'd say 2 out of 5 is reasonable, but you just have to hope that he would play in all the games. So, as I say, he's a risky one, but if you're on a wild card especially, he's a very good one to take. Another transfer, I don't mind him. It's just, again, wait and see the minutes of the Champions League, and kind of you have to play a guessing game with Rico Lewis. That is the main problem with him, in my opinion. But that's the top 3 transfers that I've got this week. Let me know who yours are in the comment section down below. Drop a like on the video as well, it'd be very much appreciated. And do hit subscribe if you are new to the channel. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.